Did the FBI massively bungle the investigation into Thomas Crooks, the would-be assassin of Donald Trump? We'll discuss that. Also, the latest on the Epstein Transparency Act, the Epstein files, as I speak to you now, pending a Senate vote. The Senate vote may have happened by the time you listen to this. It could be imminent. But what's going to be in these files? And what do we make of all this? Two massive stories coming together this week. And I'm going to try to make sense of it. Now, there are going to be people who have more inflammatory things to say about all of this that are going to speak with more certainty. And almost all of them, if not all of them, will end up being wrong about this stuff. I prefer to stick with what we know, with what the facts are, and then to analyze based upon reality and not some projection that will just get a lot of clicks and a lot of attention online. But let's start with Thomas Crooks. A couple of days ago, there was the 1-2 punch of Miranda Devine's reporting. Miranda Devine has been phenomenal on the Hunter Biden and Biden crime family stuff, so very trusted with just accurate reporting. I don't trust her reporting because I like her, although I do. I trust her reporting because it has always been accurate. And she's got great sources. And she has built a reputation for accuracy in this profession. And then on top of that, the always fearless Tucker Carlson doing a whole series, if you will, or it was a video on Thomas Crooks. And that it seems there were online activities that Crooks was engaged in that the FBI entirely, now there's two ways to go. They either missed it, which means the FBI is less capable of doing basic online research than dedicated citizen sleuths at home. I don't think that's actually impossible. I think that there's massive capability and really interest, as in, are they interested in doing their jobs, gaps at the FBI. But the other part of this is, was this for some reason suppressed? Here's what came out. You have the FBI, or rather you have the Miranda Devine report saying that pronouns they, them, and the Crooks used the pronouns they, them in one of his accounts, something called DeviantArt, some website that he had set up, and also that he was into kind of furry stuff. Now, there's limited information on this so far, even basing this on what has been reported by those who are on the very cutting edge of it. But why wouldn't we know that? Why wouldn't that have already been out there? The FBI, Tucker tweeted this out. The FBI told us Thomas Crooks tried to kill Donald Trump last summer, but somehow he had no online footprint. The FBI lied, and we could prove it because we have his posts. The question is why. Story posted tomorrow. So that was what Tucker posted. Got millions and millions and millions of hits. And it does seem like Tucker and Miranda, who have a similar, I believe the same source on this, have found something that the FBI had and did not tell the public about with regard to this shooter. Remember, he did shoot the president, or then would-be President Trump, or running for President Trump. But it's hard to understand how we're supposed to have faith and trust in the FBI if information like this is kept from the public when the public is capable of finding it themselves. Now, Director Kash Patel, who's a friend of mine, and I know to be an honorable guy, and he's getting a lot of heat these days, and I get it. I understand people are very upset about a few things that are going on. Here is what he shared about the Crooks case on Twitter. Over 480 FBI employees were involved in the Thomas Crooks investigation. Employees conducted over 1,000 interviews, addressed over 2,000 public tips, analyzed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The FBI's investigation into Thomas Crooks identified and examined over 20 online accounts, data extracted from over a dozen electronic devices, examination of numerous financial accounts, et cetera, et cetera. The FBI investigation revealed Crooks had limited online and in-person interactions, planned and conducted the attack alone, and did not leak or share his intent to do the attack with anyone with anyone else. Okay, that's what the director said. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people are just saying they don't believe this. A lot of people are saying that they have a problem with this. This is tough because the FBI as an institution does not deserve any benefit of the doubt. In fact, if anything, they deserve the doubt of the benefit, if that's a thing. They deserve to be the FBI on any matter of political consequence. Anything where our partisan divide and clearly an attempted assassination of a Republican president, it falls into this category. Unfortunately, but clearly, the FBI does not deserve the benefit of the doubt. And so what do we do with that? I need someone in the FBI to confirm whether are these accounts that have come forward now authentic? And was this known by the FBI? Did they not share it publicly because they believed that it was not verifiable? On what basis did the FBI not produce this previously? Why did it have to come from Tucker Carlson and Miranda Devine? These are the questions. I need answers to these questions. I'm trying to get them. We had Director Patel scheduled for the radio show, and he has pushed it back. He has just moved it. He has not canceled it. So I will ask him these questions, but we need answers to this, and I plan to continue to chase this down and get these answers. Our sponsor here is Preborn. Preborn is incredible. They're saving the lives of babies in the womb day in and day out. And they do this through giving love, compassion, and care to pregnant moms who walk through their doors. They offer them a free ultrasound. And that free ultrasound allows the mother to meet the baby in her womb. And that's just so often the turning point. The mom realizes, I need to give life to this baby. And Preborn's there to help, not just up to the birth of the baby, but to help in real ways that mom for 2 years after the birth of the baby. $28 provides an ultrasound for women who walk into these preborn clinics to save tiny babies' lives. Please answer the call. The pro-life community, we need you to step up. Pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say baby. That's pound 250, say baby, or donate securely at preborn.com/buck, preborn.com/BUCK, sponsored by Preborn. And now let's talk about where we are on the Epstein case here. The Transparency Act. So we had 427 to 1, I think it was, in the voting in the House on Epstein. So yeah, that's right, 427 to 1. I'm kind of curious who the one vote here, this guy Higgins, like what was that all about? But okay, whatever. So 427 to 1, it has come out that this is the situation. They're going to now take it to the Senate, and we'll see. I don't believe that anyone in the United States, or I shouldn't say anyone, I think the United States Senate is going to pass this. They may have passed it by the time you're listening to this, because I'm talking right now, Tuesday evening, post-radio show, and it is possible the Senate will even vote on it at night just to get this done. Then it will go to the president's desk. President Trump says he will make it public. And I want to share where my feelings on this, which I think have been pretty clear on radio, but I'll take some time with it on podcast here. I don't think there's a bombshell that's going to come forward out of this. I think it will further dirty up the reputations of primarily a bunch of Democrats and big Democrat donors, but without any smoking gun, anything. It'll just be people who were talking to Epstein, people who were, people who were in his orbit. Now, you can say that's bad judgment, and it certainly is. You can say that's gross, and it certainly is. But that's not being a pedophile. It's not child trafficking or human trafficking. That's just knowing a guy with a lot of money and a lot of connections that you should have known was gross. And, now, are some of those people worse than that? Of course, there's that possibility. But I keep saying this, and I know that it's frustrating sometimes for people to hear this, but it's a very important principle. You better be damn sure if you're going to accuse somebody of the kind of sex crimes and things that Epstein was involved in, that he was doing, right? You can ruin somebody's life with that. And I know that there's this hunger for justice right now for the victims, and I share that desire. But there's no justice for a victim by ensnaring somebody in this just by insinuation who didn't actually do anything illegal, who maybe was just around. And I get it, right? That makes this whole thing more complicated, but it's very important. It's very important. That's, I think, where this may become very challenging, because some of the names that I think are likely to come forward, again, even absent any evidence of criminality, any evidence, I'm not even saying clear proof, but even evidence of criminality on the part of a non-Epstein, non-Ghislaine Maxwell associate, right? We already know they're criminal. Well, Epstein killed himself. We know that he was guilty. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell is serving a long prison sentence. But for anybody else, we have to see what it is that's out there. And there's a presumption of innocence as a legal principle, but there should also be the presumption of innocence as a general principle as well, which I know can get a little hazy. People say, well, what about Al Capone? Was he a mobster, or was he just evading his taxes? Okay, I understand, right? There's a reasonableness that you have to bring to this, but this is where you start to ask the question, are people going to start accusing anybody who was on the plane? There are a lot of people on that plane. People going to start accusing anybody who went to the island? Well, of course, there are people who went to the island and people who were on the plane who didn't do anything. So that would be wrong, right? We got to figure out, we have to know who did what. And the mass release of these files, I think, is going to turn into a lot of finger pointing and insinuation without any proof. And I do not believe that any of this is going to dirty up Donald Trump, by the way. I think all that stuff is nonsense. I'm seeing some people, like some New York Times report or some left-wing podcaster saying this is the end of Trump. Is delusional, wish casting and delusional. Trump, I've known Trump and I've read so much about Trump and I've talked to Trump so much. He is not involved in any of this stuff at all. And if he was, we would know. So that's, I think, something else. But then why are the Democrats pushing this? That's what I'll get to next. Hillsdale College is doing amazing work to make sure that you know about the history of this country. And there's a brand new 6-part documentary series that Hillsdale has on the colonial period. And the stuff that you can see for free, by the way, is amazing. And it's so instructive, so informative. I mean, most of us know the Declaration of Independence marks the beginning of America, but this Hillsdale course will focus on the forging of the American character that made that revolution possible. It's so cool. There's also 40 other free online courses, C.S. Lewis, The Rise and Fall of the Republic, the Constitution, all this great stuff, all free when you go to hillsdale.edu/buck. No cost to enroll. Just go check this out. hillsdale.edu/buck. hillsdale.edu/buck. Go check it out today. Now, why are the Democrats pushing this all of a sudden? I mean, they had the United States executive branch and Congress in their control for 4 years under Biden. Why didn't they do anything about this until now? Well, there's just a lot of posturing around this. There's, I think, a lot of efforts underway for people to, one, find any excuse to use this as a way to attack Donald Trump. That's for sure. They're going to do everything they can to pretend, even if it's not in there, that there's some evidence against Trump. It's nonsense. And they also, I think, want to control the narrative and direct. Democrats want to direct away from what Trump has been saying for the last couple of days. Not that he hasn't said it before, which is that it's Democrats who are neck deep in all the Epstein stuff. I mean, at least in terms of being around him, spending a lot of time with him, dozens of flights on the plane, people like Bill Clinton. It's Democrats who were super cozy with Epstein. Trump is the one who actually said he's a creep and kicked him out of his club. Was there any Democrat who ever said, I was spending a lot of time with that guy, but then I decided he was too creepy? Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, Bill Clinton, these guys spent a lot of time with Epstein. And now we see Larry Summers, who worked under the Clinton and Obama administrations as like Treasury Secretary or Undersecretary and all this stuff. And he's asking Epstein for help, trying to figure out how to sleep with some daughter of a senior CCP, Chinese Communist Party official. The guy's, by the way, he was married too. The whole thing is so gross. And now he's saying he's going to keep teaching at Harvard, but he's stepping away from public life. These are all Democrats. It's amazing how they're so desperate to try to make this about Trump. By the way, there's no other Republicans you ever hear about in Epstein's orbit whatsoever, right? Somehow there's all these prominent Democrats who are really cozy, really friendly with him, spending a lot of time with him. But you don't have any Republicans. I don't know. Almost like one party is much more likely to have people who are morally deformed than the other. Not that there aren't crazy and bad Republicans. There are, but if you're morally deformed, chances are you're a Democrat. I can get you in trouble, but it's true. I mean, you can get in trouble for saying that, but we all know it's true. And we'll continue to follow this story closely. I will, by the way, if I'm wrong and there's some huge smoking gun evidence in the Epstein files, I'll say, man, I missed that by a mile. I'm so glad we know about this, and we'll deal with that when it comes along. How many of you think I'm wrong on this? Think about that for a second. How often have I led you astray with this kind of, this isn't just a prediction, this is analysis. How often have I led you astray with this kind of analysis? Almost never. So just remember that. Our sponsor is Paradigm Press. I believe we're entering a once-in-a-century opportunity for Main Street investors. Over the next 3 years, President Trump is going to continue to do amazing things for the markets. We're going to see life-changing stock market gains in defense, finance, healthcare, energy, manufacturing, and technology. But a lot of everyday American investors are going to miss out on huge opportunities, and I don't want that to happen to you. That's why I've launched a new e-newsletter, totally separate from the podcast and the radio show, called Money and Power. I really want you to sign up. The portfolio that we have published, this is all out in public, the portfolio that we have published of stock picks, and I have stock analysts that aren't me that are doing that. I just talk about the big, broad, big think stories and use my connections, use my ability to get people on the phone and to talk to them on the show, to learn as much as I can. But then I work with this team, and we're doing phenomenally well. I'll just tell you. You go check it out for yourself. Go to offair25.com. Offair is the website. Offair25.com. Go sign up, please. Subscribe. There's a small fee associated with this, but the information is so worth it, and it's a great newsletter, and you're going to love it. Offair25.com, paid for by Paradigm Press. That's the show today, my friends. We'll have a lot more on this week. Shields high.